Before we begin, thank you very much to James M. for joining the Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/TJOmega. I'll keep the thank you short this time because we gotta get into this. There's a lot to cover. The Pulse fan stream for August has dropped. We've got a ton of new stuff to look at. We've got a ton of new info for everything in Transformers, really. So we've got slides from TFW 2005, screen caps of the video, so I'm going to go through these quickly. We're going to hit all the big things that we got to find out about, and then we're going to go through some of the notes at the end, because there's a few things they mentioned that there's no like visual representation of. So, we'll just try to cover everything, just give thoughts, opinions, and hopes for the future, So, let's see. They started off with the stamps. These were apparently actually approved by Queen Elizabeth II, which is a thing that the Royal Mail system does for all of its official stamps. It's weird to me that the Queen of England signed off on Transformer memorabilia, but this is the state of our world. So, okay, cool, fine. And yeah, there is a set for the Dinobots as well. I actually kind of like how it's all one big layout and then the individual stamps are in there. Kind of fun. I don't know anything about the Royal Mail stamp system. I don't know why Sludge is number 1 and is first. I don't know why Swoop is second. I don't know the difference there. And I do not know why Snarl is the only one with an actual amount on it. I don't know nothing, but I know these look nice, and I know it's going to be a fun little thing if people are still into stamp collecting. I know it's a kind of an old-fashioned thing, but let's see. They talked about some of the last thralls of IDW as a Transformers series. So best of rarities. That's like old out of print books from the past that are hard to come by, and a lot of people don't get to read. So it's a nice little collection. And then Shattered Glass 2, we have Ultra Magnus there, and there as well. So just looking kind of covers. Last Bot Standing, also wrapping up the final issue, being previewed too. I'm not into books like this. I don't like seeing like heroes in their dying day books like Old Man Wolverine and all that. I like to see heroes in their prime, so this never really did it for me, but I know there's a lot of people who love stories like that. Alright, let's see. Alright, so let's get into actual toys. So, appropriately leading from Last Bot Standing, the first one is Hot Rod from Studio Series, The Last Night. I just mentioned how he did not have a new figure in Studio Series. And yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. It's very well represented of his live action model. I am kind of impressed that they actually got so much of that vehicle to fold up really, really nicely. He does not have a lot of kibble to him. The kibble he has kind of plays to his character model. Vehicle mode does look really nice. It's the proper Lamborghini. I don't really go for Studio Series anymore. The toy, the engineering and aesthetic just isn't my thing, but this one I actually did pre-order because this actually does look really, really nice. And I think I do like Hot Rod from that movie. It's just like really like underused compared to some of the other casts. So yeah, he's on pre-order. Crosshairs. So our first look at him too, and honestly, I'm not a fan. I'm honestly not a fan. So they mentioned that it's a very hard design to work with because ILM did this like long duster coat design, which is really hard to figure out how to make like actually functioning and actually work into a like functional transformer. I don't like the idea personally. I do think that allowing it to hinge and all this does help out. But I feel like it's just giving the engineering an excuse to turn all of the vehicle shell into the backpack. And that's basically what it is. Like, that's basically how Crosshair's figures work, and that's how this one works. The parts, like, the legs have like 2 of the wheels, and that's it. Everything else has to hide inside of a shell. So it's a big shell former. That's all it is. So I like the overall look. We'll give you that. But I don't like the concept, and I don't like the engineering that it forces. So that's going to be my thing for this one. Like, it looks good, but it's not going to be my thing. All right, so Ironhide. They did try to give a little bit of justification about why Ironhide is the way he is. According to Hasbro, according to this panel, they actually had to put him at the Voyager price point in order to make sure they could actually engineer him without any part forming. So a lot of his price goes into the complexity of his vehicle mode. All right, I have not seen this thing like transformed in hand, so I'll give them that. It might work out, and of course, like in the vehicle mode, he looks huge. So that's something to be said. I feel like there's a lot of panels folding into each other here, but that might actually lead to him being quite a bit heavier than your standard deluxe. So I'm actually curious about getting him in hand, and I want to actually experience this toy. So I am pre-ordering it. I'm getting it in hand before I make any kind of like judgments on, oh, it doesn't seem like it's Voyager price point or whatnot. Because I am starting to get concerned. So I did get Override here. But I'll be honest with you, I can't see where Override is worth the extra, $10 that a Voyager costs these days. Like, I'm just not seeing it. She's very, very good, but I don't know. I don't know. She doesn't. It feels like an incomplete package at the price, and I'm starting to become concerned about that becoming a trend. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so let's move on. So, yeah, I mean, Ironhide looks fairly well engineered, and looks like there are some interesting things going on to the design. So I'll give it credit. I'll get it in hand before I make a judgment. I still do not like how these big hinges are hanging off the side of him. The Fallen. All right, there's another one that I had on my list of, hey, these don't have a toy yet, but I did admit we knew it was coming. We knew there was a listing for it. So it's about what I pretty much expected. Revenge of the Fallen, The Fallen. He gets his staff, which splits into two swords. And yeah, he looks as spindly and weird as ever. That face is horrifying, and yes, it still looks like a shocker grunt. It's weird to know that there are Transformers with face-ripping gimmicks. That's a thing in a child's toy line. And then the vehicle mode. I kind of like how they're just completely unashamed that the vehicle mode is just nothing. It's just a whole bunch of nothing. It's literally just it's a plastic pretzel is what it is. We thought that first shot I showed off yesterday was like horribly transformed. No, I think it was far closer than any of us expected it to be. They also did show that like they recreated those weird like appendage connection things that the Fallen has, and they are articulated to kind of move with his arms. So that's a good engineering design, and they're on a ball joint, so you can just remove them if they get in the way. All right, so fair enough. I know people who are into like how weird this is and how like nothing the vehicle is, and I can appreciate that. But I don't know. It's just bizarre. I guess when you're one of the original primes, you don't really have to disguise yourself as anything because there's nothing to disguise yourself as, right? I guess that justifies it. They showed off Wheelie. Wheelie already has a sighting in the U.S. Some of these already got out at retail, so not really shocking that they now revealed it on Hasbro Pulse. I'm still like in shock that like Hasbro's marketing is so slow. Like they could reveal this stuff so much faster. I don't know why they choose not to, because like when you're getting beaten to the punch by Target, you might be a little bit behind the ball. But I still think that Wheelie looks really, really good. The Ratchet also, I think, looks really, really good. It's interesting to me that, it seems to have a completely different way of transforming than the larger version. So that's cool. They did also confirm that, yes, both the core Ratchet and the Voyager Ironhide will be retooled into the opposing characters at some point. That's pretty obvious, but hey, at least that's official confirmation. The pink Bumblebee that is Laserbeak. I almost forgot this was a thing that was happening. I almost forgot about this entirely. So one of these days, yes, this will probably be a normal Bumblebee. But for now, I think it's just a really clever way of putting another Camaro in the core class and still having it be the right kind of size scale. Having it to be like an appropriate size scale for core. I think it is it's a clever choice. And then there's Rumble that they talked about. Okay, so it's Rumble because it's Studio Series. So in the movie, Studio Series, in the movie, Rumble was the blue one. So they're going with that for the coloration. And now they made a note that like on the box, it's going to say Rumble, blue. just to further designate this. It's still in the tape mode, does fit in the previous sound waves they released. They did make note of that. But apparently this does seem larger and definitely more articulated than that one was. So they've worked some really nice engineering magic into this. Also, of course, it's core class. It's smaller than the other core classes, but that does mean they can have both of his guns and his pile drivers. So we have not had a fully featured Rumble or Frenzy, whichever you want to call him, like this since Masterpiece. So, all right. Fair play to Hasbro. All right. I will accept this. Yeah, like this is nice. If this is an example of like if you want to give me like a Ravage or a Laserbeak like this, preferably one that cannot just be ripped out of the box because I'm sick of seeing stolen ones at Walmart. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to more of these because it actually does seem like they went all out to make sure it was worth the core class price. All right, now the stuff that we've already seen. So now is when they decided, now we're going to show off all the accessories, and now we're going to show off the vehicle modes. I'm guessing the idea was that, I'm guessing they tried to show off the robots as early as they could, and then saved another half of the reveal for later on so they could kind of keep the hype going, or still have something to show off during their during their pulse streams. It's not the right marketing move. But okay, whatever, at least you're trying. But yeah, we've seen all of these now. Aside from being like previously leaked, Takara has shown off all these, so we've already gone over all of these. We don't really need to discuss it. Crankcase did have one point to mention. Well, there's a few things. Now, like on the render, the Decepticon symbol is backwards for some reason, but on the production version, it's in the correct orientation. The big thing on him was that he actually does have his shoulder guns. They are very small. They are not those huge TriggerCon like cannons that flip out from his back, but he does actually have those little shoulder guns. Keep in mind, this is still a retooling of Skids, and for the life of me, you have to point out where the Skids is. I can see it in the forearms, but that's about it. This is an exceptionally interesting retool job. There's a lot going on to this figure that's actually really impressive. There's also like a weird thing where that front grille, that brush guard on this vehicle clips off and turns into an extra gun for him. It looks weird. It looks really weird, but okay. We'll go with it. It's another accessory at least. Dead End they showed off as well. We pretty much have seen everything about Dead End. They did combine Menasor as much as Menasor can be combined. It is looking super impressive. Yeah, and you know what? It doesn't have the Scramble City. Fine. It's based on the weird cartoon model that's kind of messed up everything, but fine. I don't care. This looks like a super clean and cool looking Menasor, and I'm really looking forward to having the whole thing. This is basically what he looks like. The only thing that we don't see is like one panel that isn't closed. So, yeah, I'm super excited to have all of my Stunticons. Skullgrin. Nothing really to note here. The turret does rotate all the way around, so we know that. And apparently they went back and forth on the head a lot. There's a lot of redos on the head in order to make it as close as they could. They actually did pose the question if we wanted to have the shells back, and I would say only if the shells do something practical. I wouldn't want to sacrifice the size and the quality of the inner toy just for the sake of making the shell, unless the shell did something itself. If the shell could come apart and form like another vehicle that the robot could ride in, all right, there I'm willing to play with you. Okay? There I'm willing to go with it. That's where my imagination goes for like what you do with like Pretender shell. So like it's got to have a transforming element itself that has to be practical and has to like play to the gimmick. Then and only then am I going to accept the return of those shells. Until then, I don't really mind this merger of the two they've got going on here. I do think Skullgrin is a little bit weak, because while they keep saying that like this is his G1 tank mode, it's really not his G1 tank mode. It's way too blocky. It just looks like a barren brick of a transformer that is maybe a little bit too simple in engineering as I look at it. But we'll see. We'll see how it is in hand. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong on the complexity part. Inferno was a nice reveal here because we actually got a lot of details on him that we did not get before. We got specific details. So, let's see. If we get to some of the like in-hand shots, if we can look. Okay, so yeah. So yes. All right. So yeah, this. Okay, there. I guess this is as good as we're gonna get. Okay, so the inside of his jetpack shells are painted, so that is already good. What we all got wrong was the fact that, yes, there are 4 panels. His entire rear section is represented. They don't look like they're the same size, but you know what? I'll take it. You actually did create all 4, and they did show off the fact that it does rotate. It is on an axis. Now, you can't spin it, but you can rotate it a little bit and actually have the appropriate flight mode. And I was correct. The blaster is doubling duty as his rocket booster. Called that one. All right, so at least I got the panels wrong, but I didn't get the booster wrong. So I'm 50-50 on Inferno right now. Still do really like him. All right, so Armada Starscream. So apparently the production version of this toy is not going to have the it's not going to have it's not going to have the red paint job on it that the box art and the original shots show, because they didn't want it to clash with the Star Saber itself. Remember, the whole like sub gimmick of Legacy is the Energon weapon aspect. So they didn't want to have 2 different shades of Energon weapon going on here, which I think is stupid. But whatever. Can we take the paint budget from not painting the sword and put the black back on the underside of his torso so it's not just like solid red all the way through? Yeah, please. Thank you. No, we're not getting that. But we're getting it. We're getting a decent enough Armada Starscream. Missing paint apps aside, it does pretty much everything I want a modern Armada Starscream to do. The vehicle mode looks correct while still being a lot sleeker than the original toy was. The cannons do fold forward. It's nice for someone at Hasbro to finally show that. Also, so like it's so confusing because he's got one sample that has a gray sword, and it doesn't even look like the same shade of gray the toy's made out of. And then we have another sample that has the red sword. Stop playing with my heart, Hasbro. Come on. Consistency. It's all I'm asking for. So, apparently this fire weapon can double as... This fire effect can double as a flame club. No. This is so wrong. Don't do this. Don't do this. Just... It looks stupid. It looks stupid. Alright? Don't do the flame club thing. No one ever do the Flame Club thing. It's nice that it has a secondary feature, but don't do the Flame Club thing. It looks dumb. It looks dumb. Also, it's Beast Wars Megatron. If any character should never use a club, it's him. See, I don't mind the dragon mode. I know a lot of people who are down on it or think it looks a little bit weird. I don't mind it so much. I do think it looks good. I'm going to be... I've already pre-ordered the toy. I want to give it a proper experience. It is nice to see there's a lot of articulation in the dragon neck. That's a huge improvement over the original toy. I don't mind the proportions so much either. Some people think he looks like really scrawny. But also, like, if you look at the animation model, he's not exactly jacked in that one. So I can roll with this. I can accept this. Yeah, so a lot of it we've seen before. Getting it in hand now, you can see there is a lot more symmetry than I originally gave it credit for. That's the only kind of downside to me here. I get that that's easier to engineer, and that could technically require less molding if you're just running, like if the wings are symmetrical, you just run them twice instead of having an independent mold for each one. Because we know that's a cost-cutting thing they do now. They did that on the Titan Scorponok, and they bragged about it. So I understand why the asymmetry is not always great, but yeah, it's better looking than I think people are giving it credit for. All right, Bomb Burst. This is a core class one. I really do wish it had just transformed into a bat, but I know that's not what they're going for here. He transforms into a space vehicle of some space jet, space fighter, whichever one you want to imagine this as. But two things strike it about me. Number one, this is like scary accurate to his original vehicle mode. Like, that's just straight up the shell. And that is just straight up the inner robot transformed. That's actually really impressive for a core class. I know it's because he's just wearing the vehicle on his back, but still, I think that's cool. What does irk me is that he is very much like the original Pretenders, because without the vehicle, without the accessories, he's basically nothing. He is a nothing. He is a nondescript vehicle if you lose his wing gun things. So that's a downside here. That is the downside here. Unless those are pegged in, unless those are like pinned in and you cannot remove them from the forearms, then this is going to have the same problems that the original Pretender toys had, which I would really hope that they would avoid. But I do like how it looks. I do like the overall look of it. Yeah, I like Bomb Burst a lot. I had Bomb Burst as a kid, so this is gonna be nice to have. This is just like a micro version. Soundwave is back. Yeah, so non-transforming cassette and all that. It's just it's a repackage. No big deal there. All right, and that is your lot. That is all of the reveals. I mean, it's kind of a whimper to close on. Oh, we're repacking Soundwave, by the way. That's a little bit of a lackluster way to wrap it up. All right, so here's all of the little blurbs that they announced. I'm just going to go over this really quick just to make sure there isn't anything that I missed. I think I recapped a lot of it quite a bit. Let's see. Yeah, flotation, designs on the head, as for the... Yeah, okay, so I think I did a pretty good job remembering everything else that they mentioned, at least the most pertinent stuff. So I think that is going to do it. I'll just put this up just so we can end on that screen. So, once again, we have a pulse stream that did show off a lot of things that are already revealed, some things that are already at retail. But there were some new things in here. If you're a Studio Series fan, you got some nice reveals that we hadn't seen before. And there's a few things there for Legacy too. And a lot of confirmation of details that I think was really important to get out. That should have been out like a month ago when we first saw some of these officially revealed. But it's nice that it's all out there now. And it's not like silly that it's still silly that Hasbro held so much back and held back weird things. But at least now it's all officially out there. So it doesn't feel like we're talking about it in hushed whispers in back alleys or something weird. But thank you guys for joining me. Yeah, let me know in the comments below what you're looking forward to the most. And yeah, try and figure out some way that we can convince Hasbro to actually be a little bit ahead of the curve on their reveals, instead of constantly trying to make these exciting when we've already seen them all before. Because I feel bad for the team. I feel bad for the team that's worked so hard on all this and are actually looking forward to being the big reveals, to like the big reveal days, only for like marketing in Hasbro to say, you can't reveal it until then, and then just watch as, you know, leaked YouTube channels get out, Chinese factory photos get out, or Vietnamese factory photos get out. I don't know. I feel bad for them. I feel like they have to force themselves to try and be hype over things they know we've already seen, which is not good. It's not good for them. It's not good for the presentation. It's not good for Hasbro. It needs to be fixed. That's the piece I'm going to make on that. All right, but thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you got something exciting to look forward to out of all this, because there's a lot for most every Transformer fan in here. So, until next time. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.